Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I'm your host and a wedding photographer based in Tamaki Auckland. Today on the show I'm chatting to the lovely Kim Crossman. You may recognise her from on TV, social media. She has a podcast as well, Pretty Depressed. I'm not going to try and sum up her whole career because I feel like she's done so many amazing things. But we chat through her love story, planning her beautiful wedding down south, a picnic style reception, what the whole process is like, why she recommends getting married earlier in the day, and so much more. Kim is such a beautiful and kind person, exactly how she comes across online and on TV. So I was super grateful to chat to her, and I think you're going to love it too. So we'll get right into it. Enjoy episode 58 with Kim. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. So excited to chat to you all about your wedding.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I just had the best time. I'm so excited to talk about it. So thank you, and thanks for having this platform as well. It's so helpful to sort of create community, especially if people are planning weddings as well. Like all the information out there is super helpful. So hopefully I can be of service in some way.
Absolutely. So to start off with, if you could just tell me a little bit about you and your husband, how you guys met, and your life together.
Yeah, of course. So I'm very lucky. I married the Togs Undies guy. So hopefully, if your audience is Kiwi and maybe in kind of that millennial generation, they will remember a fantastic commercial called Togs Undies, Togs Undies. And my husband, Tom Walsh, is the Togs Undies guy. He's also a cameraman. We met on a show called Snack Masters on TV2, and there was just like this, I mean, instant chemistry, but he was also playing it very cool because obviously it was a workplace environment that we met in. I just fell in love with his work ethic, and I was just like showing up to work. It was like, now that I look back, a lot of it, I was obviously super into him, but I was doing all these behaviors that were also a little bit subconscious, I think, like arriving early. I just wanted to be around him all the time. And I was very forceful in a way. I invited myself around. I like tried to communicate with him. I just wanted to be around him more. I didn't even necessarily know that meant in relationship or in love. I think it was just he was a really cool, interesting person that I wanted to get to know. And yeah, it was very clear sort of after having dinner together and stuff that we were super into each other. And kind of from then, it was just the sparks flew and we became pretty obsessed with each other. We still are. He got my name tattooed on his chest like 3 months into dating. We have a bunch of tattoos for each other. We just wanted to get married and be married. And so we got engaged last year. And then on our 2-year anniversary, which was in April 29, which I have, I don't know if I can see it tattooed on my foot. But yeah, we were like, let's get married on our 2nd-year anniversary. So very quickly, we sort of planned a small but intimate wedding, and now we're almost coming up on our 3-month anniversary, which is really exciting.
So cool. I love that story. Little workplace romance. So
I
good.
know.
Love when that works out. And so, you were together for a little while and got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
My gosh, yes. So we were actually doing some work with World Vision in Uganda, which is and off the back of that, we had planned this trip to Italy. When I first met Tom, he loves Italy. He's been there many times before, and I had never been. And so it was this, while we were kind of on that side of the world together, we were like, okay, we'll take a week and we'll go and do a bit of an adventure. Now, we talked about marriage and getting engaged a lot. So it wasn't a surprise in the sense of, I'm so flabbergasted, I wasn't expecting this, but I wasn't expecting it when he did it. Mainly because, yeah, I feel like I'm very nosy. So I know everything. Like there was no sign of a box anywhere or anything. He just had a ring in his pocket, which to me, I would be so anxious about. So he obviously had it with him the whole time we were traveling around Africa. And now looking back, I'm like, he was really intense about the vehicles being locked and all these other things. So obviously he was aware that he had something precious he was taking care of. But yeah, and it was just the coolest moment. I remember I needed to pee immediately. That was like my body's reaction to getting engaged. I was like, oh my God, I need to pee. And I, yeah, I think for me, the coolest thing about the wedding and also that feeling of getting engaged, I think I was worried because a lot of my life I fake as an actor, like I've been fake married before, I've fake given birth, that sometimes I always had this fear that when real big things happen, I, I wouldn't have an organic response. And I think it was really cool to actually be like, oh, that's how I respond when I'm really genuinely surprised. Or yeah, it was really cool learnings to like really feel those emotions to a 10 and just feel so ecstatic. And yeah, it was all perfect and lovely.
So cool. Such a like special and unique place to have it happen. And yeah, sounds like a really epic moment. So
Yeah,
you had mentioned you'd sort of dreamed about getting married for a while. And yeah, when it came to starting to plan, did you have a specific vision in mind for what you wanted? What were those kind of first steps, finding a venue, all of that?
yeah. Well, prior to Tom, I actually, just to make sure I'm clear on that, I actually didn't ever think that kind of marriage would be in my life. I respect it and understand it. I guess I hadn't really got to that place. I couldn't see that for me until I met Tom. And then I was like, oh my God, I want to marry the shit out of this guy. So really took kind of meeting that person to want that for myself. We found the wedding planning process really simple. Like we went on a bit of a road trip around the South Island. We came to a place where we had stayed previously, Kinloch, which is just around from Glenorchy in the South Island, a place that was really special to Tom. He used to go on school campus there and things. And kind of when we were there, we were like, this feels good. We took a bottle of wine down to kind of the lake's edge and just kind of in about 30 minutes planned what we wanted to do. We're like, okay, cool. We want to do it in the morning. A very unpopular opinion, but I was like, I want to wake up and get married right away. Like, I'm such a morning person. Sun goes down, Kim goes down. There's just no planet where I feel like I can stay awake or have a party in the evening. Like, I want to get it done right away. So we're like, cool, a morning wedding, a picnic. We knew we wanted to like make sure we had time to make out. So we did that, and then we had a really chill dinner, and we wore onesies. So we knew we wanted something small, something really special, and something really intentional. So we kind of planned all of that in about 30 minutes, and we're like, cool, sounds good. And that was the genesis of what we wanted to do. I guess the next step to that was we felt it was really important, and we wanted to make our wedding very Kiwi. We wanted to make sure we were supporting Kiwi businesses entirely where we could, and we were able to do that. I think we felt a little bit of responsibility that there would be some eyes on this experience in a really beautiful way, and we're like, this is such a great opportunity to kind of make it not just about us and our love, but also provide opportunity to also showcase some businesses or brands that we had worked with or had a connection to, and try and champion the amazing work they did. So I think for us, that kind of really put our wedding in this thing outside of just us, and making it like a team thing, which Tom and I are really good at. I think that's something that we get from sort of working in film and television where everything's collaborative. So yeah, that kind of made it cool because it made it special for a lot of people in different ways.
I love that. Working as a team, but still really like a representation of you guys and your love, what represents you. So good. So you've mentioned a few things, but yeah, what were those sort of top priorities, the most important elements on the day for you?
We wanted to wake up together. Whenever we're in the same country, something that Tom's dad, when he was alive, did for his mom was always make her a cup of tea in the morning. And so that is something that I know is sort of maybe not traditional, that people spend the night. We do a lot of long distance, so any night we can spend the night together and wake up, that's really special. So we wanted to do that. I wanted to, like every other morning we're together, make a cup of tea for him in the morning. So that was kind of a key thing. that was like a non-negotiable, I guess. I think having a real emphasis on family. So what we did is we kind of assigned, we have quite a big blended family. So just with family, blood, and then people considered family, we were at 43. So there was 40, I think 43 of us in total. And so everyone there had something special that we wanted them to contribute. Like my sister makes amazing lolly cake, and that was really a big part of when Tom and I were sort of courting each other. We would bring each other lolly cake to work. So there were sort of different things that each person, like his uncle makes an amazing seafood chowder, so he brought chowder to the a kind of picnic the night before thing. So that was another thing. We wanted everyone to feel like they were contributing in a way that tied in with a memory. And a lot of that was food related, which is really cool.
And can you tell me a bit about your wedding outfits, your dress? How's that whole process, finding it, getting it made? Yeah.
So, like I said, we wanted to really champion some amazing Kiwis. Tom's first piece of designer anything he ever purchased was a coat from Zambezi. We've been really lucky to just have relationship with the amazing family that established and work and create Zambezi. So that was a really easy one for us in terms of making Tom and my stepson Louis custom suits, which we paid for, but it was just that journey of kind of working with creating something custom, which was thus so good at, and also yeah, supporting a cool Kiwi designer. And then for my dress, I've worked with BW Blair, making a few other really cool outfits. I just think he's such an amazing designer. I say up and coming because I think he's just starting to pop now, but he's been doing this for a very long time. I was like, kind of wanted something simple, getting married in the morning and in such a spectacular backdrop. I didn't want anything to be too intense, and just the way I don't know anything about fashion. So I kind of showed him ish what I liked from trying things on. And honestly, I just kind of left him to it and he made it fantastic. I was like, that's great. Um, which I think made this whole process really cool. I was quite happy to collaborate with other people. He knows dresses better than I do, so kind of just delegate that to him. And he did such an amazing job. So they were two really cool, very easy processes to give it to the experts.
So good. It looked so stunning on the day.
Oh,
And
thank you.
did you guys have a bridal party? And if so, how was that process choosing them?
Yeah, so again, because it was all family, my sister is a celebrant, so she married us. My best friend was my bridesmaid, and our stepson was the best man. So again, very family focused. And then our two witnesses were our two aunties, Auntie Sue and Auntie Judy. So my mother-in-law's sister and my auntie. So they were our witnesses. Then our friends were the photographers, our friends were the videographers, our friends were the social media. So we really leaned on that. And one of my best friends, Kath, kind of was, I guess, my creative designer. She did my makeup, and Brooke did the rest of the kind of bridal parties makeup. So I had in our family group, like I said, most people were contributing food, but there was kind of a really natural role for everybody. So we didn't do any of those conventional things. I did do a hens party, a wholesome hens party at Eden Park, because again, I was like, this idea of hens parties and what they traditionally represent didn't really fit with my personality. But puppies that you could adopt from the SPCA and a sound bath at Eden Park sounded a lot more sort of my genre. So I do feel that I feel really lucky that in 2024, kind of weddings themselves and the idea of it, I guess post COVID, the whole tradition is kind of turned on its head, and it's totally acceptable for people to do things their own way, however that might be. And I do, I'm really proud that Tom and I were able to create something that was uniquely us and just felt right, without any pushback. So that was kind of cool.
So cool. Yeah, I love just making your own rules. You don't have to follow traditions or like what your family want or older generations or anything. You can just absolutely do
Yeah.
your thing.
Yeah. And traditional weddings are also beautiful and stuff. There's just certain things that didn't maybe speak to me, mainly the timing of the day. I'm like, I'd be the tiredest bride out there. And, you know,
It's
it's
a
not
long
what
day
I want.
when it's like
Yeah.
super late in the day ceremony. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
My sisters are celebrating. Everyone loved the morning wedding. They're like, great call. 10:30 to 11:30, have a great picnic, a few drinks. Everyone can go have a nap at 3 p.m. and then put their pajamas on and have a chill dinner, like it's great.
Yeah, I love that. And you touched on it a bit, but how did you find the guest list? Was that quite difficult to narrow down?
No, because it was just family. I think I can see how that can be really challenging. I think because we knew that it was just going to be a family thing, that sort of it allowed me for the Wholesome Hens thing to really celebrate all the great friends and women I have in my life. I do know most likely on our 1 year anniversary, we'll do a little something here in Los Angeles because I have a community of people here. But I think too, just keeping it really small. And again, I have to credit everyone for contributing to that decision making process for us. I did put on Instagram, like, send me any tips. I would say 99% of the feedback was around guest list. And I think from the beginning of starting with just a family ceremony, I mean, of course, I had some very special friends there, but these are also friends who I consider family or consider my parents their substitute parents and things. So that was credit to everyone for being so generous with their feedback, because I feel like that was the biggest tension point that people shared with us was around who to invite, how you draw the line, and the pushback that people got on that. So
Yeah, it's definitely something that comes up over and over again that it's one of the hardest things, or people are worried about offending people they don't invite. And yeah, it can cause a lot of drama. But yeah, I think that's nice. You kind of just said just close family and yeah, who you consider family. It's a good way to do
mhm.
it.
I mean, of course, it would be lovely to do that, but I think even without 43, like, it still felt
Mm.
you still don't have that, you've got so much going on. So I mean, we had 2 nights staying at on location, so it kind of meant it felt like camp, right? Like everyone was kind of staying in the same place. So it did mean that we got to have that special time with everybody as well and not feel too overwhelmed or too rushed, um, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a really nice number for that because, yeah, I know with people that have like 100, over 100 people, it can be quite stressful just trying to even have a quick chat with everyone on the day. So definitely get a bit more quality time with less numbers. And can you tell us a bit about the big day? You gave us a bit of an overview, but yeah, how it all went down and any highlights or favorite moments?
We were a little extra. So like we also like totally went in a helicopter and like went to the top of a mountain and had these amazing photos that just were like so crazy. It felt like James Bond. Uh so we had a great combination of really intimate, wholesome, and then totally extra flamboyant, like looking like movie stars. I think for me, the highlight was the organization. I'm extremely type A. I'm totally a Monica. I used to identify as a Phoebe, but it was all a lie. That was just what I wanted people to think. I'm a Monica through and through. I, sorry, we made like a call sheet. Like, these are the times that shit's happening. Figure it out. Be there. Everyone got an email with like, this is where you need to be, this is what you need to wear, this is what you need to do, and these are the times that things happen. Because I think that's how Tom and I operate. We're in showbiz. It's like, this is kicking off then, like, figure it out. And I do think that I feel like that's a highlight because we didn't have to have anyone yelling. There was no stress involved. There was no confusion. It was like, this happened at this time. This is what happened at this time. This is when the singer starts singing. This is when the da da da, which might sound really regimented, but everyone knew it. That was what was happening. And we hit our marks. And I think it just meant that taking away that stress element or unpredictability element. And I must say, I did have the benefit of like Kath, who got me ready on the day, and hair and makeup and stuff, does my hair and makeup for 50-60% of the jobs that I do. So it wasn't like it was a new face. So I understand there was also a lot of things that happened with ease in that, but having a good sort of call sheet that everyone was aware of meant there were no surprises. There was time built in for people to have naps, have shower, like it kind of we'd planned it to a T in that regard. That yeah, everyone, the expectation of everyone and where they should be and how, what they need to be doing was really clear. So everyone could kind of relax and enjoy themselves. Everyone knew what they were responsible for and where they had to be. And the only low light was kind of that I was like ready to go. Like I was like, come on, come on, come on. Like, I mean, we got up at 6 and we were walking down the aisle at 10:30, but that even felt like a long time. I was like, I'm ready. Let's get this thing going. Like, and at times during the day, I felt like I wasn't in my body. I was kind of like floating like a ghost above it a little bit, kind of watching, which apparently is very normal. I didn't eat some of the food that I really wished I had based on the photos of how awesome the picnic looked. Like we had this amazing salmon, we had ice cream and ice cap. Basically, Tom and I went through all the foods we love, which are maybe not traditional wedding foods, but we loved coronation chicken sandwiches. We loved peanut brownie biscuits. We loved blue cheese. So we had like all the foods that we love that are like picnicky, very Kiwiana picnicky foods. And I think I was in such like an adrenaline phase that looking back, I'm like, oh shit, that bread looks awesome. I wish I had more of it. But you're kind of just running on adrenaline, so you don't eat as much as which everyone says. But that's my only regret. I should have made a doggy bag and eaten it later in the day.
Affected that in the call sheet too.
Yeah, totally. I should have factored in like Kim, stuff your face. Yeah. So funny.
Oh, so good. Sounds like such an amazing day. And yeah, I love that you said about the whole timeline call sheet. I think that's so important. A lot of people can be like, oh, we're just super relaxed, we'll just go with it. But then it ends up being quite stressful and no one knows what's happening when. So just being organized actually makes you enjoy the day so much more, I
Mm.
think.
And I wanted to be all over it too. I think if I had outsourced that, then I would have been stressed because I'd be like, I'm sorry, what decisions are being made? Like I was like, that's what's happening. We're sticking to that. Figure it out. That was great. Gosh, I sound fun, don't I? I promise I am.
No,
I
absolutely.
love a schedule.
So good, so important. And yeah, was there anything else that you found hard about the whole wedding planning process or that you look back on and regret or would do a bit differently?
I was surprised, honestly, how I felt leading up to it. It wasn't that I wasn't excited, and it wasn't that I wasn't excited. I just felt kind of neutral, and that was confusing to me. I think because so many movies and everything are about like either cold feet or like this, like I just felt so ready to get married and married to Tom. And we were so clear on what we wanted to do that for me, it was kind of like just biding time until it kind of happened, like those few weeks before. I felt that was more just something that I was confusing myself about how I was like, am I going to feel differently the night before? And it just kind of all felt, which is a great thing. But I do think that I worried myself by being like, am I numb? Like, am I a robot? What's going on? But yeah, I just was so ready for it to happen that I was kind of bored with the waiting for it to happen. I guess I was like, okay, well, we're ready now. Let's bring it forward. But I already had the tattoo on my foot, so I couldn't change it. So we're like, okay, but no, and no regrets. Everything was like just perfect. I missed a page of my own vows, but I read them to Tom later. Of course, the person who's a professional performer forgets something, forgets her lines. But again, that's kind of funny too. No regrets. I do feel like I had a lot of great people speaking into me about their sharing their regrets or their cautionary tales. And I was able to take that on board and process all of that beforehand, which I think if people are being generous with sharing their stories, anyone who's like on that wedding journey, even if you do or don't agree or don't think that would happen, like hearing the good and the bad is so helpful in informing to prepare yourself for what you might encounter. So I think people's generosity and like you having this podcast is such a great resource because people can kind of go through people's lived experiences and cherry pick the parts that work for them, which is so cool, right?
Yeah. And did you guys kind of set a budget for the day if you're happy to talk about like a ballpark figure or how you went with that? Did you end up spending more than you planned? Yeah. How was that whole
Yeah.
process?
So we were like, okay, we don't want to have a big wedding. We're like, okay, we can do it for 10 grand. I don't know how, but we obviously managed to just blow that out of the water. But in our mind, we don't understand money. We were like, yeah, that's fine. Oh my God, that's so much money. We'll figure it out. What we were able to do, and I'm very grateful for, is we were able to sort of partner with a few different brands and have we paid for everything, but we were able to kind of like leverage certain things or which again, money was exchanged, and I'm big on paying for people's services, but there was also a huge advantage to being able to be like, cool, is there anything that we can do as well to promote this business? So whilst we paid for everything, I think we kind of ended up changing the narrative to being like, pay for everything, but make sure that we are also highlighting businesses as well, and if they see value in that, then that's awesome. So we were very intentional about the people that we worked with that on, and we also asked family and friends to contribute to our honeymoon instead of gifts. So that was another thing. We're a transient couple. We move countries a lot. I don't see as much value necessarily in physical things at this chapter in my life. So we were very lucky that, family in varying degrees kind of were able to help us with our wedding fund and our honeymoon fund if they saw fit, which was really cool. So we did blow what we thought we were going to spend. I don't even honestly know how. I should have kept a spreadsheet of that, but it just in my girl math brain, I'm like, yeah, 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 we're fine. We're still, but we again, we didn't have a big wedding. We had a picnic. We didn't have this massive sit down dinner. So we're two creatives. We don't have a lot to spare. So we were very intentional about where we spent money and what we spent money on. The night before the wedding, we had a family barbecue. And so someone bought like the chowder, someone bought the meat. So we were able to kind of cut costs by cutting a lot of those formalities out. My best friend made the cake. So really, when we looked at it, a lot of stuff was, I guess, donated in the sense of family and the little parts that they were contributing.
Yeah, so cool to just have people all inputting and using their talents and like people really want to help with weddings. They're usually happy to contribute something and yeah, like making it a whole team effort. I think it's so
And I think
cool.
too about being intentional what we asked for. Like Tom's mum is an amazing cook and baker. So we of course wanted her to bring the chocolate chip cookies. Like so we were really intentional about what people were bringing, and we had a little like booklet type email thing that went out that it's like nothing at our wedding was not there for a reason. So there was chocolate chip cookies because that's Tom's favorite cookie. And he also had these coconut cookies that there's a story behind everything. The coconut cookies are what his mum used to make for him to go to this exact camp, which is now this accommodation that he was supposed to share with everyone, but he ate them all. So every detail of the wedding had a very intentional reason of why it was present, and everyone knew because it kind of creates a good conversation like, oh, why is there shortbread here? It's because my auntie, no matter where she's coming from, always brings shortbread to an event. So I think what we were able to do is kind of like look at the things that are really special to us, and by asking that person to bring that food is kind of like a nice connection to that person as well. It makes everything meaningful. So everything that, as a guest or family member at our wedding, everything that you ate, every song that you heard, every flower, where it was or why, or every wine or limoncello, like everything had a story that was part of Tom and my journey together. And as storytellers, I think that's maybe what we made really unique about our wedding and why we were able to keep costs down as well. So yeah, and I'm really proud of that because I think it made everyone feel really special for the piece of the story that they were contributing and how it's affected our lives as well.
Yeah, I love that. Just really like sentimental pieces and yeah, creates these really special memories and yeah, even those connections on the day as well. So cool to
Mhm.
just be, yeah, super intentional about it. And I know some people get caught up in like trends or like what's going to look good on Instagram and stuff, but you really need to
Sure.
take it back to the essence of who you are, what like represents you guys. And yeah, I think that's like most important.
Yeah, it just made everything so elevated because it felt every detail felt thought out and special. which was cool.
Yeah, love that. And did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? What did planning that look like?
Not straight away. We spent a night at a Pure Pod, which is so cool. Shout out to Pure Pods just because they are epic. So we spent a night there after kind of the wedding just to kind of decompress. And then we had a few days in Auckland. Then we went to Fiji, which, oh my goodness. As someone who's gone to Fiji a few times with family, but kind of just been more on dinner out, like we went to a place called Nanuku, and then we went to a place, an island, like a backpackers basically, but we got our own room. Thank goodness. And it was just so cool. Like, I think exploring Fiji a little bit more than perhaps a lot of Kiwis do. I was so impressed, and it's so effing cool. We got to go diving with bull sharks. We got to, like, and I'm just shark obsessed. So it was a really cool combination of relaxing and adrenaline activities, which is maybe not what Fiji's known for necessarily, that kind of more adventure side. But I think for Tom and I, two active relaxers, we need a healthy combination of the two, or we get bored. So
Love that. So special. Yeah, cool to just go somewhere a little bit different as well, but
yeah.
beautiful.
And affordable too, like we weren't at like somewhere crazy. We were, you know, eating buffet breakfast, lunches, and dinners with all the other people who were sort of transient humans on this crazy island, and it was cool.
And during the whole planning process, was there any helpful websites, apps, different resources that you used? You've mentioned getting like first-hand advice, and Instagram so good as well. But yeah, anything else that comes to mind?
That was my biggest resource, really, was kind of listening to the very generous people in my DMs or would send me voice notes. I credit the success of our day really to Instagram for that, because yes, there were a lot of blogs and things like that, but a lot of the time it's all advertising, and sometimes that can be a little bit hard to see through as well. So I yeah, I credit everything to just the community of people that are willing to share their ups and downs, because it literally helped us shape the day. We're like, okay, great, thank you. Perfect.
So good, super helpful. And do you have any advice that you would give to couples that are planning their wedding at the moment?
I think, like, yeah, start with what's important to you. Like, a wedding ring was really exciting for Tom and I. And so it's going like, okay, wedding rings. How can we make it unique, and what can we do that makes it uniquely us? And so, like, taking each little piece that you want to, and again, we had a morning, very small wedding. So there were only, a handful of these things that we could. So like the wedding rings, for example, Tom's dad's no longer with us, but Tom and him used to go gold mining together. So we were like, maybe we could make our own wedding rings and put some of this gold in our rings. So we have, a bit of his dad. There's a symbol of a bit of his dad in there. And then when we were talking to the diamond shop who helped us make them, she was actually, I can't think, this might have been Tom's idea, but I have two little brown stones in mine to symbolize Tom's eyes, and he has two little green stones in his. So we just kind of were really open minded. And that, I guess, is a long way of saying, like, if there's a way to do something that's unique to you and to add to your love story and add to the experience of it being really positive and being really romantic, that's something that my husband and I are always looking for. Like, how can we, like, we went and got tattoos the day before we got married, like joining tattoos. We got little hearts on our thumbs. So when we hold hands, there's hearts. So we were just trying to think of, like, what are like some cool, memorable moments that we would be excited about, or that add a layer of storytelling and memory and creating like memories and moments. So that would be my advice, is just like zoom out a little bit, and even if it seems wild and crazy, that's kind of cool. So yeah.
I love that. Great advice. Yeah, something people can think about a bit more deeply.
Well,
And
so many people were like, it's about you guys and your story. Don't listen to other people. And I guess I'm kind of flipping on the head. My advice is listen to everyone, and then step back and make the decisions yourself, and then tell people what you're going to do and be like, this is what we're doing. So it's twofold. It's like, take all the advice you can get, and then take a beat to kind of decide together as a couple what makes sense for you.
yeah, absolutely. Just sifting through it and picking out what's relevant and good for you. And yeah, but so helpful just hearing everyone's experiences. And yeah, I wanted to mention as well, I think you have like your podcast, Pretty Depressed, and you've done a bit of work in that kind of mental health space, having really important conversations and a bit of an advocate for that, which I love and think is so important. And for a lot of people I hear on this podcast as well, that it can be a really like stressful period of their life, whether that's from like family pressure or overwhelm or whatever it is, and can cause like mental health struggles as well. Did you notice anything coming up for you, or do you have any advice around that?
Yeah, I think, it was always a nerve-wracking thing for me having a really beautiful relationship with my stepdad and having my real dad as well. And I think when I always thought about getting married, I always thought, oh God, one of them's going to feel hurt, or, like, how does that look? I got to walk down the aisle with my birth dad and my stepdad arm in arm, and we marched together. And so I think I say that to be like, I had created a worry where it didn't need to exist. Like, my mother's been married 3 times. All three of her husbands, her two ex-husbands and her husband, were at my wedding, and it was amazing. Like, I do pride myself in living on being part of a really beautiful blended family. And I think some of that caused me hypothetical anxiety, being like, what would that look like? How would I conduct that? And I'm really proud of everyone in my family of being in a place where everyone felt important. And I think that was my workaround, was like, there are so many beautiful ways that I can make some beautiful moments with my real dad that don't take away from my beautiful relationship with my stepdad. And so I did a first look with both of them independently so I could have that moment. And so I think the things that had caused me stress, I just needed to figure out in my mind. And again, they were both fine with everything. It was just my journey of like, I don't want that to, and I'm just using that as one example, I also wanted to make sure that even though my nana is not there, that my mum felt a real sense of her being acknowledged. So there were certain things that I think that could have been really stressful, but I had kind of figured out a way to marry in what I believed everyone's important thing was, and kind of front foot it, I guess, in a way, like, and I think that was really helpful, especially for my mental health, to know that everyone there felt really seen and heard and important and celebrated. And that was like a way of making sure that I felt seen and heard and celebrated, because that part of me that worries about others more than self, which is a very common quality in women, in everyone, but particularly women, I kind of like, through advice of other people, like took care of it before the day so it wasn't a thing on the day, if that makes sense. Like, set myself up for success in that arena.
I love that. That's great advice. And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you got any of those post wedding blues?
I felt a little weird when we had to part ways like a month after we got married, because we do a lot of long distance. And so that felt a little bit more pressing, I guess. That did feel different. And so, yeah, that felt shitty, being like, oh, now we're alone. Nah, it's kind of cool. Tom and I celebrate every month our anniversary, like even when we were dating. 29th of every month, we write each other a card. We tell each other how much we love each other, which is so cool. So I think it's like graduating into that new territory. I think there is a mourning in a way of just like, we had so much fun. I want to do it again next month. Like, let's do this. Let's go again. Like, but no, now it's kind of exciting navigating this chapter as a wife, and actually physically feeling different is cool too. I kind of didn't really think that I would feel different because, we've lived in various places together and stuff. So that's kind of cool too. Like, that there is a change and a growth in that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today. Is there anything else that we missed or you want to add as we wrap up?
Just a huge advocate for the morning wedding, eh? Like, I feel like that's the way to go.
You're the
Like, oh
first
my
I've heard
goodness.
doing that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of my friends, they photograph and videograph weddings too. They're like, this is great because it's kind of like that thing everyone's waiting for is like done, and then everyone can relax a little bit more. It's like the formality part of it. So I'm a huge advocate for it. Like my mom was like, "Oh, but everyone will have to get ready." I'm like, people go about life and are ready by 10:30 in the morning to
Yeah,
figure themselves out. They'll figure it out. We'll get up early. Sorry, you have to get up early today. It'll be fine. Um, so yeah, I think I'm a huge advocate for the morning wedding.
I love that. Even like at the moment, it's winter in New Zealand or those kind of fringe seasons where it's like a bit less light in the
Hmm.
evening, like have an earlier one.
Hmm.
That's a great idea. Make the most of the light. It's my photographer
Totally.
brain going, but
There
yeah,
you go.
so cool. Just
Yeah.
like do something different. You don't have to have the classic 3, 4 p.m. ceremony.
Wow.
Yeah, make the day your own. Love that.
Then everyone can nap in the afternoon. So many people took a nap.
So
It was
good.
great.
Factor in a
Yeah.
nap on the wedding day. How good.
So good, so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful. What a cool thing you're doing. I hope this was helpful. I hope here is a resource if anyone has any follow-up questions. But yeah, I'm really proud of our wedding and how we conducted it and how we were able to support Kiwi businesses as well. It felt really special in a lot of different ways. So
Yay, thank you.
thank you.